Commander Jake Harrison stood at the window of his ship, looking down at the strange blue world below. The planet Zephyria Prime looked beautiful from space with its purple oceans and silver clouds. He had traveled across the galaxy for 6 months to reach this place. Earth had sent him here to meet the aliens who lived on this world. They were called the Velthari, and they had asked humans to come visit them. Jake felt nervous but excited. He was the first human to ever talk with these aliens. His team included Dr. Lisa Morgan, who studied alien life, and Captain Ben Rodriguez, who flew their ship. There was also Amy Chen, who handled all their communication systems. They all knew this. Mission could change everything for Earth. The ship landed in a large field outside the Velthari capital city. Jake looked out and saw buildings that seemed to glow with soft blue light. The structures were tall and curved like they had grown from the ground instead of being built. Everything looked so different from Earth cities. A group of Velthari came to meet them. Jake had seen pictures before, but seeing them in person was amazing. They looked like humans, but their skin was see-through blue and seemed to shine in the sunlight. Their hair was silver like metal, and their eyes were big and purple. They moved with grace like dancers. The leader of the group was a tall female. She wore flowing robes that changed color as she walked. She stepped forward and spoke in perfect English, which surprised Jake. "Welcome to our world, Commander Harrison. I am High Matriarch Zilthara. We have been waiting for you." Jake bowed his head as he had been taught. "Thank you for having us here. We come in peace and friendship." The High Matriarch smiled. "We know. Come. There is much to discuss, and someone I want you to meet." They walked toward the city, and Jake could not stop looking around. The Velthari had gardens filled with plants that glowed different colors. The air smelled like flowers, but also something else he could not name. Other Velthari stopped to look at the humans as they passed. Some seemed curious, while others looked worried. Inside the main building, Jake met more Velthari leaders. They sat around a table made from what looked like crystal. The High Matriarch spoke first. "Commander Harrison, we asked you here because we need help. Our people are dying slowly. Each generation has fewer children, and those children are weaker than their parents. Our scientists say we will all be gone in maybe 200 years. Dr. Morgan leaned forward. "What is causing this problem?" A younger Velthari female answered. She had the same blue skin and silver hair, but she looked different somehow. Her purple eyes seemed brighter, and she moved with quick energy. "I am Kira Lynn. I study genetics and biology. Our problem is that we have lived on this world alone for too long. We need new genetic material or our race will end." Jake found himself staring at Kira Lynn. There was something about her that made him want to keep looking. She was beautiful, but it was more than that. She seemed smart and strong, and when she looked at him, he felt something strange in his chest. "We have searched the galaxy for other races that might be compatible with us," Kira Lynn continued. "Most aliens are too different, but humans are close to us in many ways. Your DNA and ours might be able to work together." Dr. Morgan looked shocked. "That would be incredible. In all our studies, we have never found a species that could mix with humans." The High Matriarch nodded. "This is why we asked you to come. We need to study this possibility. If it works, it could save both our peoples." Jake spoke up. "How can this help humans? We are not dying out." Kira Lynn answered him, and when she spoke, she looked right into his eyes. "Humans are strong and can adapt to many things, but Velthari live much longer, and we have abilities you do not have. We can speak mind to mind, and we can sense things others cannot. Together, we might create something wonderful." The meeting went on for hours. Jake learned that the Velthari were peaceful people who loved art and science. They had never fought wars, and they shared everything with each other. But some of them were not happy about working with humans. They thought their race should stay pure, even if it meant dying out. When the meeting ended, Kira Lynn offered to show Jake around the city. Dr. Morgan went with other scientists to look at laboratories. Captain Rodriguez and Amy Chen stayed to work on communication systems. Jake walked with Kira Lynn through streets filled with amazing sights. The buildings seemed alive, and some of the walls moved slowly like they were breathing. Plants grew everywhere, and they all glowed with soft light. The Velthari people they met were polite, but Jake could tell some of them did not trust him. "Your city is beautiful," Jake said. "Thank you. We try to live with nature instead of fighting it. Your Earth cities are very different from what I have seen in your transmissions." They stopped at a garden where the plants made music when the wind touched them. Jake sat on a bench that felt warm even though it was made of stone. "Can I ask you something, Kira Lynn?" "Of course." "Do all Velthari think working with humans is a good idea?" She was quiet for a moment. "No. Many think we should find another way. They believe mixing with humans will destroy what makes us special. But I think being afraid of change is what will really destroy us." Jake looked at her, sitting next to him. The purple light from the plants made her blue skin look even more beautiful. "What do you think about humans?" "I think you are braver than we are. You explore space and take risks and adapt to new things. We have become too careful, and that is why we are dying. Maybe we need some of your courage." They talked until the sun went down. Jake learned that Kira Lynn had studied human culture for years. She knew about Earth history and human art and music. She asked him questions about his life and his home. Jake found himself telling her things he had never told anyone. When it was time to return to his ship, Jake did not want to leave. Something about Kira Lynn made him feel happy and excited. He had never felt this way about anyone before. "Will I see you tomorrow?" he asked. "Yes. I will be working with Dr. Morgan on the genetic studies, and I hope you will let me show you more of our world." Jake smiled. "I would like that very much." As he walked back to his ship, Jake thought about everything that had happened. This mission was supposed to be about diplomacy and science, but he had a feeling it was going to become something much more important than that. Jake woke up early the next morning thinking about Kira Lynn. He had dreamed about her purple eyes and the way she smiled when she talked about science. He knew he should focus on the mission, but he could not stop thinking about her. Dr. Morgan was already working in the laboratory when Jake arrived. She looked excited and worried at the same time. "Jake, you need to see this. The preliminary tests are incredible. Human and Velthari DNA are not just compatible. They are almost like two pieces of a puzzle that fit together perfectly." She showed him charts and diagrams on her computer. Jake did not understand all the science, but he could tell this was important. "What does this mean exactly?" he asked. "It means that if a human and a Velthari had a child together, that child would not be weak or sick. It would be stronger than either parent. The human DNA would give it adaptability and strength. The Velthari DNA would give it telepathic abilities and a longer life. It is like evolution planned this." Kira Lynn entered the laboratory at that moment. She had been listening to Dr. Morgan speak, and she nodded. "Our scientists have found the same thing, but there is something else we discovered. The genetic bonding only works if the two people have a strong emotional connection. Love makes the DNA work together better." Jake felt his face get warm when she said the word love. He looked at Kira Lynn and saw that she was looking at him too. Dr. Morgan did not notice. She was too excited about the science. This could change everything, not just for the Velthari, but for humans too. We could explore the galaxy better with these abilities. Over the next few days, Jake spent more and more time with Kira Lynn. She showed him how Velthari technology worked. Their machines were grown instead of built, and they responded to thoughts instead of buttons. Jake learned that Kira Lynn could sense his emotions even when he tried to hide them. "You seem troubled today," she said as they walked through a forest of singing trees. "I got a message from Earth Command. They are not happy about the genetic Research. They think it is too dangerous. Kiralyn stopped walking. Dangerous how? They worry that mixing human and Velthari genetics could create something they cannot control. They want me to slow down the research. And what do you want, Jake? He looked at her standing in the purple light that filtered through the tree leaves. She was so beautiful and so smart, and he realized he was falling in love with her. But he was also scared because she was an alien and he was human and nobody had ever done this before. I want to keep learning. I want to understand your people better. I want to understand you better. She stepped closer to him. I feel the same way about you. But we must be careful. Not everyone on my world supports this research either. Jake learned she was right when they returned to the city. A group of Velthari warriors was waiting for them. They wore different clothes than the other Velthari. Their robes were dark red, and they carried weapons that looked like crystal staffs. The leader was a tall male named General Thexmore. His purple eyes were cold and angry when he looked at Jake. Human, you are not welcome here. Your kind will pollute our pure bloodline. The High Matriarch makes a mistake by allowing this. Jake stood straight and tried to look brave even though he was nervous. We come in peace, General. We only want to help. Help? General Thexmore laughed, but it was not a happy sound. You want to steal our genetics and make us weak like you. Humans are violent and selfish. We have seen your wars and your destruction. Kiralyn stepped between them. General Thexmore, you speak without knowledge. These humans are good people. They risk their lives to help us. You are young, Kiralyn, and you do not understand. This human has bewitched you with his alien ways. Can you not see how he looks? At you? He wants to claim you like humans claim territory. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. I would never hurt Kiralyn. I care about her. Care? The general's eyes flashed. Humans do not know how to care. You only know how to take. More. Velthari gathered around them. Some supported the general, while others seemed to support Kiralyn. Jake realized that the Velthari people were divided about working with humans. The argument was stopped when High Matriarch Zilthera arrived. She looked at everyone with stern eyes. Enough. General Thexmore, you forget yourself. I am the leader here, and I have decided we will work with the humans. If you cannot accept this, you may leave. The general bowed his head, but Jake could see he was still angry. I follow your orders, High Matriarch, but I warn you that this path leads to the destruction of our people. He left with his warriors, but Jake knew this was not over. That evening, Jake received another message from Earth. This one was from Admiral Roy Peterson, who was Jake's superior officer. Commander Harrison, I am coming to Zephyria Prime immediately. The research you are conducting is too dangerous to continue without proper oversight. You are to cease all genetic studies until I arrive. Jake stared at the message, feeling worried and frustrated. He did not want to stop the research, especially now when they were learning so much. But he also did not want to disobey orders. He decided to walk in the gardens to think. He found Kiralyn sitting by a fountain that played music as the water moved. You look troubled again, she said. My superior is coming here. He wants to stop the genetic research. Kiralyn was quiet for a long time. Jake, can I tell you something personal? Of course. In Velthari culture, when two people care deeply for each other, their minds can connect. I have been feeling your emotions for days now. Your happiness when you see me. Your worry about the mission. Your fear about what others think. Jake felt his heart beat faster. What are you saying? I am saying that I think we are bonding, Jake, the way Velthari bond with their life partners. But this has never happened between different species before. She stood up and moved closer to him. In the moonlight, her blue skin seemed to glow, and her purple eyes looked deep and sad. I am falling in love with you, Jake Harrison. I know it is impossible and dangerous, and our peoples may never accept it. But I cannot stop what I feel. Jake reached out and touched her face gently. Her skin was warm and soft. I am falling in love with you too, Kiralyn. I have never felt anything like this before." They stood there looking at each other, knowing that everything had changed. They were no longer just a human commander and an alien scientist working together. They were two people from different worlds who had found something special together. But they also knew that their love would be seen as wrong by many people on both sides. Humans who thought aliens were dangerous. Velthari, who thought their bloodline should stay pure. Leaders who worried about political consequences. "What do we do now?" Jake asked. "We be careful. We continue the research, and we hope that love is stronger than fear." Jake kissed her then, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world. When their lips touched, he felt a strange sensation in his mind, like someone had opened a door, did not know existed. For just a moment he could sense Kira Lynn's thoughts and feelings as clearly as his own. They were no longer just human and alien. They were something new together. 3 weeks passed since Jake and Kira Lynn admitted their love for each other. They had to be careful about showing their feelings because both humans and Velthari were watching them closely. Admiral Peterson had arrived from Earth, and he was not happy about what he saw. "Commander Harrison, this mission has gone too far beyond its original purpose," the Admiral said during a private meeting. "You were sent here to establish diplomatic relations, not to conduct dangerous genetic experiments." Jake stood at attention in front of his superior officer. "Sir, the research could benefit both our species greatly. Dr. Morgan believes we are on the edge of a major breakthrough. The research stops now. That is an order. We are returning to Earth in 1 week." Jake felt his heart sink. Leaving Zephyria Prime meant leaving Kira Lynn, and he did not know if he would ever see her again. "Sir, what about the Velthari? They asked for our help. If we leave now, they might think we do not care about their survival." Admiral Peterson's face was hard and cold. "The Velthari are not our responsibility, Commander. Our responsibility is to Earth and to humanity. Mixing our genetics with aliens could create threats we cannot predict or control." After the Admiral dismissed him, Jake went to find Kira Lynn. She was in the laboratory looking at genetic samples under a microscope. When she saw him, she could immediately sense his distress. "What has happened?" she asked. "We have to leave. My superior has ordered us to stop the research and return to Earth." Kira Lynn's face went pale. "But we are so close to understanding how the bonding works. And what about us, Jake? What about what we feel for each other?" Jake took her hands in his. "I do not know. I do not want to leave you, but I cannot disobey direct orders." They held each other while Jake tried to think of some way to stay. But he was a soldier, and soldiers followed orders even when those orders broke their hearts. The next morning, Jake was walking to a meeting with Velthari leaders when explosions shook the city. Alarms started ringing, and Velthari people ran, in all directions looking scared and confused. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through Jake's communication device. "Commander, we have a situation. Velthari extremists have attacked the research facility. They are trying to destroy all the genetic data." Jake ran toward the laboratory where Kira Lynn was working. Smoke was coming from several buildings, and he could see Velthari warriors fighting each other in the streets. Some wore the red robes of General Thexmore's faction, while others wore blue robes and seemed to be defending the research areas. When Jake reached the laboratory building, he found chaos inside. Equipment was broken and papers were scattered everywhere. He heard shouting from the main research room and ran toward the sound. General Thexmore and his warriors had cornered Dr. Morgan and several Velthari scientists, including Kira Lynn. The general held one of his crystal weapons and pointed it at the humans. "You will leave our world now," he said, "and you will take your poisonous ideas with you. The Velthari will remain pure even if we must die pure." Jake stepped into the room with his hands raised to show he was not armed. "General, there is no need for violence. We can discuss this peacefully." "There is nothing to discuss, human. You have corrupted our people with your alien ways. Look at Kira Lynn. She follows you around like a pet. She has forgotten what it means to be Velthari." Kira Lynn stepped forward bravely. I have not forgotten anything, General. I remember that we are a dying people and these humans offer us hope. Would you rather we die with pride than live with change? Yes, the general shouted. Death with honor is better than life with shame. He raised his weapon toward Kira Lynn, and Jake saw the crystal begin to glow with deadly energy. Without thinking, Jake threw himself in front of her just as the general fired. The energy beam hit Jake in the chest and sent him flying backward. Pain like lightning shot through his body, and everything went dark. Jake woke up 3 days later in a Velthari medical facility. His chest was wrapped in bandages, and machines beeped around his bed. The first thing he saw was Kira Lynn sitting beside him with tears in her purple eyes. "You saved my life," she whispered. "You could have died." "Are you hurt?" Jake asked. His voice was weak and it hurt to talk. "No. The general's weapon hit you instead of me. Security forces arrested him and his followers. The High Matriarch has declared that anyone who attacks the research project will be exiled from Zephyria Prime." Dr. Morgan entered the room looking relieved. "Jake, thank goodness you are awake. The Velthari healers say you will recover completely, but it will take time." "What about the research? Did they destroy everything?" "No. We saved most of the data. And Jake, there is something important I need to tell you. The energy blast you took seems to have triggered something in your genetics. Your DNA is changing." Jake tried to sit up, but the pain stopped him. "Changing how?" "Remember how we learned that human and Velthari genetics work better together when there is emotional bonding? Well, your sacrifice for Kira Lynn created the strongest emotional bond we have ever measured. Your body is actually adapting to become more compatible with Velthari genetics." Kira Lynn took his hand. "Jake, I can sense your thoughts more clearly now. And you seem to be developing some telepathic ability, too. We are bonding on a genetic level." Over the next 2 weeks, Jake recovered from his injuries. During that time, he and Kira Lynn spent every moment together. They walked in the gardens and talked about everything. Jake found that he could sometimes sense what Kira Lynn was thinking and feeling. She could do the same with him. Their love grew stronger each day, but they both knew it could not last. Admiral Peterson was pressuring Jake to return to Earth, and some Velthari leaders were still opposed to their relationship. Then Dr. Morgan made a discovery that changed everything. She burst into Jake's room one morning, looking excited and worried at the same time. "Jake, I need to run some medical tests on you immediately." "What is wrong?" he asked. "Nothing is wrong, but something incredible has happened, and I need to confirm it." She ran tests on both Jake and Kira Lynn using Velthari medical equipment. When the results came back, Dr. Morgan stared at them for a long time without speaking. "What is it, Lisa?" Jake asked. "Jake, the genetic bonding between you and Kira Lynn has gone further than we thought possible. Your DNA has not just adapted to be compatible with hers, it has actually begun combining with hers." Kira Lynn gasped. "What does that mean?" Dr. Morgan looked at them both with amazement and concern. "It means, Kira Lynn, that you are pregnant. You are carrying the first human Velthari hybrid child in galactic history." The room went completely silent. Jake felt like the world had stopped, spinning. He looked at Kira Lynn and saw wonder and fear in her purple eyes. "That is impossible," Kira Lynn whispered. "We have only been together for a few weeks. Velthari pregnancy takes months to begin." The genetic bonding accelerated everything. Dr. Morgan explained. "Your bodies wanted this to happen so much that they made it happen faster than normal biology should allow." Jake stood up on shaky legs. "Are you sure? There is no mistake?" "I am completely sure. The scans show a healthy developing fetus with genetic markers from both human and Velthari DNA. This child will be something entirely new." Kira Lynn started crying, but Jake could not tell if she was happy or scared. He sat beside her and held her close. "What do we do now?" he asked. Before anyone could answer, Admiral Peterson entered the room with 2 human soldiers. His face was red with anger. "Commander Harrison, You are under arrest for violation of first contact protocols and unauthorized genetic experimentation. You will return to Earth immediately to face court-martial." He stopped when he saw Dr. Morgan's test results. On the screen, his face went pale. "What is this?" he demanded. Dr. Morgan stood up straight. "Admiral, this is proof that human and Velthari genetics are not just compatible. They are evolutionary partners. This pregnancy could be the most important biological event in human history." The Admiral stared at the data and then at Jake and Kira Lynn. "You got an alien pregnant? Do you have any idea what you have done?" Kira Lynn stood up with tears still in her eyes, but her voice was strong. "Admiral Peterson, I know this is shocking and frightening, but this child is not a mistake. It is hope. Hope for my dying people, and maybe hope for yours too." She turned to Jake and took his hands. Her purple eyes looked directly into his. "Jake Harrison, I know this is sudden and scary. I know our peoples may never accept what we have done. But I love you and I carry your child. Please marry me. Without your protection, they will take everything from us." Jake looked at Kira Lynn standing before him with tears in her purple eyes, asking him to marry her. He could feel the fear and hope radiating from her mind through their growing telepathic bond. Behind him, Admiral Peterson was demanding answers and threatening arrest. In front of him was the woman he loved carrying his child and asking for his protection. The choice was easy. "Yes," Jake said firmly. "I will marry you, Kira Lynn. I will protect you and our child no matter what happens." "Admiral," Peterson stepped forward angrily. "Commander Harrison, you cannot marry an alien. It is against regulations and possibly against the law. I order you to return to Earth immediately." "No, sir," Jake said, standing up straight. "I resign my commission. I am no longer under your command." The Admiral's face turned red. "You cannot resign in the middle of a mission. I will have you arrested for desertion." Captain Rodriguez, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "Admiral, with respect, Jake is not deserting. He is choosing to stay and help our allies. That is not a crime." "Captain Rodriguez, you are out of line," the Admiral snapped. Amy Chen stepped forward too. "Admiral, the research data shows that this pregnancy could benefit both species greatly. Maybe we should study it instead of punishing it." Dr. Morgan nodded. "I agree. This is the greatest biological discovery in human history. We cannot just ignore it because it makes us uncomfortable." Jake felt grateful for his team's support, but he knew they were all risking their careers to help him. "You do not have to do this for me. I understand if you need to follow orders." Ben Rodriguez smiled. "Jake, we have been through too much together to abandon you now. Besides, someone needs to document this amazing event for science." Admiral Peterson looked around the room, realizing he was outnumbered. "Fine. Stay if you want to throw away your careers, but do not expect any help from Earth. Command, you are on your own." He left with his soldiers, but Jake knew this was not over. Earth would send more people, and they might not be as reasonable as the Admiral. Over the next few days, word of the pregnancy spread through both human and Velthari society. The reactions were mixed and often hostile. On Earth, the news caused massive debates. Some people thought it was wonderful and showed that humans could work with other species. Others thought it was dangerous, and that Jake had betrayed his own kind by mixing human genetics with aliens. Dr. Helen Carter, a famous scientist on Earth, spoke in support of Jake and Kira Lynn. "This union represents the next step in human evolution. We should celebrate it, not condemn it." But many others disagreed. Earth Command issued statements saying that Jake was a rogue officer acting without authority. Some religious groups called the pregnancy an abomination. Politicians worried about what it would mean for Earth's relationships with other alien species. On Zephyria Prime, the reaction was just as divided. High Matriarch Zilthara publicly supported the pregnancy and said it offered hope for the Velthari people. Young Velthari like scholar Nimtara organized rallies in support of genetic cooperation with humans. But conservative Velthari were horrified. Even though General Thexmore was in prison, his followers continued to oppose any mixing with human genetics. They called Kira Lynn a traitor and said her child would be a monster. "They say terrible things about us," Kira Lynn told Jake one evening as they walked through the gardens. "Some Velthari believe our child will be cursed or evil." Jake put his arm around her protectively. "What do you believe?" "I believe our child will be beautiful and special. I can feel it growing inside me, and it feels warm and full of light. How can something made from love be evil?" Jake could sense the child too now through his growing telepathic connection with Kira Lynn. It felt like a bright spark of life that combined the best of both their species. But their happiness was threatened by increasing opposition from both sides. Assassination attempts were made on both of them. Unknown attackers tried to poison Kira Lynn's food, and Jake found explosive devices near his quarters. Security forces from both Earth and Zephyria Prime worked together to protect them, but the threats kept coming. The worst attack happened during a public ceremony where they were supposed to announce their engagement officially. A group of human extremists who had somehow reached Zephyria Prime tried to storm the building with weapons. "Humans should not breed with aliens," their leader shouted as security forces arrested him. "It is against nature and against God." Jake felt sick that people from his own species could be so hateful. But he also saw that many humans supported him, including his own team who never left his side. The ceremony went ahead, despite the attack. Jake and Kira Lynn stood before leaders from both species and declared their intention to marry. High Matriarch Zilthara performed the traditional Velthari bonding ritual, while Captain Rodriguez acted as Jake's witness using human customs. "Do you, Jake Harrison, take Kira Lynn to be your partner in all things?" the High Matriarch asked. "I do," Jake said firmly. "Do you, Kira Lynn, take Jake Harrison to be your partner in all things?" "I do," she replied with tears of joy in her eyes. When they kissed, Jake felt their minds connect completely for the first time. He could sense every thought and feeling Kira Lynn had. She could do the same with him. They were no longer two separate people, but one consciousness in two bodies. The wedding celebration was beautiful, but also tense. Guards watched for threats while guests from both species tried to learn about each other. Some Velthari were fascinated by human music and dancing. Some humans were amazed by Velthari art and telepathic abilities. Dr. Morgan took more genetic samples from both Jake and Kira Lynn during the celebration. "The bonding is accelerating even more," she told them privately. "Your child is developing faster than either human or Velthari normal development. I think it will be born in just a few more weeks instead of months." "Is that dangerous?" Kira Lynn asked, worried. "I do not think so. Your body and the child seem perfectly healthy. Evolution is just moving very fast to create something new." As Kira Lynn's pregnancy progressed, Jake found his own abilities growing stronger. He could communicate telepathically with her across long distances. He could sense the emotions of other Velthari around him. His physical strength and endurance increased beyond normal human levels. "You are becoming part Velthari," Kira Lynn told him one day. "Just as our child will be part human and part Velthari." "Does that bother you?" Jake asked. "No. It makes me happy. We are creating something entirely new together." But not everyone was happy about the changes. Earth Command sent a new team led by Colonel Frank Murphy with orders to bring Jake back to Earth by force if necessary. "Commander Harrison, you have violated so many regulations I cannot count them all," the colonel said when he arrived. "You will return to Earth to face justice, or we will arrest you." Jake stood his ground. "I am no longer a member of Earth Command. Colonel, I am a citizen of Zephyria Prime now. You have no authority over me. We have authority over any human who threatens Earth's security. Your actions could start a war between species." Kira Lynn stepped forward. Her pregnancy was now clearly visible, and she placed her hands protectively over her growing belly. Colonel Murphy, I understand your concerns. But look around you. Humans and Velthari are working together peacefully. We are not threatening anyone. We are trying to build something better. The colonel stared at her for a long moment. That thing you carry is not natural. It should not exist. Jake felt anger surge through him, but before he could respond, Kiralyn placed a calming hand on his arm. Colonel, this child exists because love brought it into being. How can love be wrong? Scholar Nimtara, who had become one of their strongest supporters among the Velthari, spoke up. Colonel Murphy, on our world, we believe that new life is always sacred no matter how it comes to be. This child represents hope for both our peoples. Dr. Morgan stepped forward with her latest research data. Colonel, the genetic combinations we are seeing could solve major problems for both species. Human diseases that Velthari immunity could prevent, Velthari genetic weaknesses that human adaptability could overcome. This is not a threat, it is an opportunity. But Colonel Murphy was not convinced. My orders are clear. Commander Harrison returns to Earth or faces the consequences. That night, Jake and Kiralyn lay in bed feeling their child move inside her. Through their telepathic bond, they could sense the baby's developing consciousness. It felt curious and intelligent and somehow peaceful despite all the conflicts surrounding its existence. What kind of world are we bringing our child into? Kiralyn asked sadly. A world that needs changing, Jake replied. Maybe our child will help change it. And if our people never accept us? If we are always outcasts? Jake held her close and felt their child's gentle movements between them. Then we will make our own family, our own community, and we will raise our child to be proud of what they are. Outside their window, the city of Zephyria Prime glowed with its eternal blue light. Somewhere out there, people from two worlds were learning to work together despite their fears and prejudices. Jake and Kiralyn had started something that could not be stopped now. Their love had created more than just a child. It had created hope for the future. The day Kiralyn went into labor, the sky above Zephyria Prime turned strange colors. Purple and gold lights danced across the heavens like an aurora, but the Velthari had never seen anything like it before. Jake held Kiralyn's hand as she breathed through the contractions, and he could feel her pain and excitement through their mental bond. Dr. Morgan and the Velthari healers worked together in the medical facility. They had prepared for this moment for weeks, but nobody knew exactly what to expect from the first human Velthari birth in history. The baby is coming faster than we predicted, Dr. Morgan said, checking her instruments. Everything looks healthy, but the genetic readings are incredible. This child has abilities we have never seen before. Jake squeezed Kiralyn's hand and whispered encouragement as she pushed. Through their telepathic connection, he could sense not just Kiralyn's thoughts, but something else. A third consciousness that felt bright and curious and somehow ancient, despite being unborn. I can feel the baby's mind, Kiralyn gasped between contractions. It is so aware, Jake. So intelligent already. The birth took only 3 hours, which was much faster than normal for either species. When their daughter finally emerged, she was the most beautiful thing Jake had ever seen. She had her mother's blue-tinged skin, but it was lighter and seemed to glow softly from within. Her hair was silver like all Velthari, but it had golden highlights that caught the light. Her eyes were purple like her mother's, but with flecks of brown like Jake's. She is perfect, Jake whispered as he held his daughter for the first time. The baby looked up at him with eyes that seemed far too knowing for a newborn. What will we name her? Kiralyn asked weakly but happily. Hope, Jake said without hesitation. In English, her name is Hope because she represents hope for both our peoples. And in Velthari? Kiralyn smiled. Lirana. It means new song, because she is the beginning of something entirely new. Dr. Morgan ran tests on baby Hope over the next few days, and the results amazed everyone. The child had perfect health and genetic markers that showed incredible potential. She had inherited human adaptability and strength along with Velthari telepathic abilities and longevity genes. This child could live for over 300 years, Dr. Morgan told Jake and Kira Lynn privately. And her telepathic abilities are already stronger than most adult Velthari. She may be able to communicate with other species in ways we cannot imagine. Hope seemed to prove this within her first week of life. She rarely cried, and when she did, both Jake and Kira Lynn could sense exactly what she needed through their mental connection. More amazingly, she seemed to respond to the emotions of everyone around her. When Velthari visitors felt sad about their dying race, Hope would somehow project feelings of comfort and peace that calmed them. Word of Hope's birth spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Both Earth and Zephyria Prime were flooded with requests from scientists who wanted to study the first hybrid child. Some governments wanted to take Hope away for research, while others demanded that the experiment be ended immediately. But Hope's birth also created something unexpected. Stories spread about the special child born from love between two species. Young people on both worlds began to see Jake and Kira Lynn not as traitors, but as pioneers. Support groups formed calling for more cooperation between humans and Velthari. On Earth, Dr. Helen Carter organized massive rallies supporting genetic cooperation. "This child represents the future of intelligent life in the galaxy," she declared to crowds of thousands. "We should celebrate this miracle, not fear it, on Zephyria." Prime scholar Nimtara led similar movements among young Velthari. "Our people are dying from isolation," she told her followers. "This child shows us that cooperation leads to life, while isolation leads to death." The political situation remained tense but began to shift as more people saw Hope and witnessed her remarkable abilities. High Matriarch Zilthara visited often and declared that Hope was blessed by the ancestors. Even some conservative Velthari who had opposed the marriage began to change their minds when they met the peaceful, happy baby. Hope was 3 months old when the crisis came that would change everything. Jake was playing with his daughter in their garden when alarms began ringing across the city. Captain Rodriguez contacted him immediately through communication devices. "Jake, we have a major problem. Long-range sensors have detected a massive alien fleet approaching both Earth and Zephyria Prime. They appear to be hostile and they are bigger than anything we have ever seen." Jake felt fear grip his heart. He looked down at Hope, who was reaching for the glowing flowers with her tiny hands. This innocent child might be facing her first war before she was even a year old. High Matriarch Zilthara called an emergency meeting of both human and Velthari leaders. The situation was desperate. The approaching fleet consisted of ships from a species nobody had ever encountered before. They had ignored all attempts at communication, and their weapons appeared to be far more advanced than anything humans or Velthari possessed. "We have perhaps 6 days before they reach our worlds," the High Matriarch said gravely. "Our combined fleets cannot match their firepower. We need a miracle." Admiral Peterson, who had remained on Zephyria Prime despite his disagreements with Jake, spoke up. "We could try evacuation, but there is no way to move entire populations in 6 days. Colonel Murphy nodded. "Our best hope is to try diplomacy. Maybe they will respond to negotiation attempts." But as the days passed, the alien fleet continued to ignore all communication attempts. They seemed determined to attack both worlds without any explanation. Jake spent those days holding Hope and trying not to think about what might happen to her if the aliens destroyed their worlds. But something strange began to happen as the crisis grew worse. Hope became more active and alert than any baby should be at her age. She would stare at the sky with her purple and brown eyes as if she could see the approaching ships. Sometimes, she would make soft cooing sounds that seemed to follow complex patterns like she was trying to communicate. On the 5th day, Kira Lynn made an incredible discovery. "Jake, listen to this," she said excitedly as she played back recordings of Hope's sounds. "I ran her vocalizations through our communication computers. The patterns match known mathematical sequences. She is not just making baby noises. She is trying to talk in mathematical language. Dr. Morgan confirmed the analysis. It appears that Hope's hybrid genetics have given her an instinctive understanding of universal mathematical concepts. She may be trying to communicate using the same mathematical principles that govern physics and engineering. Jake looked down at his daughter, who was now 6 months old, but seemed to understand everything happening around her. You think she knows about the alien ships? I think she can sense them somehow, Kira Lynn said. Her telepathic abilities are growing stronger every day. Maybe she can reach minds that we cannot touch. The alien fleet arrived exactly when predicted. Massive ships that looked like crystal cathedrals took positions above both Earth and Zephyria Prime. They were beautiful, but terrifying, and still refused to respond to any communication attempts. Jake was in the command center with other leaders when Hope began crying in a way she never had before. Her cries seemed urgent and desperate, and Jake could feel through their bond that she wanted something specific. Bring her here, he told Kira Lynn. I think she needs to be in the command center. When Kira Lynn arrived carrying Hope the baby, immediately stopped crying and stared at the communication equipment. She reached out her tiny hands toward the main transmitter and made the same mathematical sounds she had been making for days. Put her sounds through the transmitter, Jake said suddenly. Let the alien ships hear what she is saying. Dr. Morgan quickly connected Hope's vocalizations to the main communication array and broadcast them toward the alien fleet. The response was immediate and shocking. The lead alien ship replied with the same mathematical patterns that Hope had been making. Then a voice spoke in perfect English through the communication system. Small one of two peoples, we hear your call. We are the Wanderers, and we have been lost in the void for many cycles. Your mathematical song guided us home. We meant no harm. We seek only the world we lost long ago. Hope gurgled happily and reached toward the speakers as if she understood every word. Jake stepped forward, amazed. You were not attacking us? You were lost? We were seeking our ancestral home. Our navigation systems failed generations ago. The child's unique mental signature called to us across space. She has the gift of the bridge builders. She can speak to any thinking mind in the language that all minds understand. High Matriarch Zilthara spoke up. What do you need from us? Only direction to our home system and perhaps friendship with the peoples who created such a wondrous child. We have much knowledge to share with those who practice cooperation between species, and so Hope saved 2 worlds before she was even a year old, simply by being herself. The Wanderers became allies and friends, sharing advanced technology and knowledge with both humans and Velthari. More importantly, they spread word throughout the galaxy about the miraculous hybrid child and the love story that created her. Other species began to visit Zephyria Prime and Earth, seeking to learn about cooperation and genetic harmony. Jake was appointed as the first.